The Employee Retention Credit, ERC, has caused backlogs with the IRS, and it is taking months, even potentially up to a year, for business owners to get back their money. So today I'm going to share with you some information that might help you at least understand why this length of time is something that's potentially unavoidable, at least right now, and also a few key tips of what you could do to potentially at least have the knowledge of where you're at in line with the IRS. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. So you heard right. The Employee Retention Credit, ERC, is a valuable stimulus package that is still around. Yes, you can still apply retroactively. Many business owners didn't even hear about it back in 2020 or 2021. And some of those that did hear about it were told they don't qualify, but trust me, the rules have changed. And now somewhere between 7 or 8 out of 10 business owners at least qualify for some funds back into their pocket. But real quick, before I dive into all the details about where is your money, especially to those of you that have already applied, please drop a like for this video. And if you want to keep the conversation going, I just opened up access to our private Discord server. Okay, simply put, the processing time to get your ERC money has been compounded by paper returns. You heard that right, paper returns. The IRS does not allow amended 941s, also known as 941Xs, to be filed electronically. There's no portal. You can't just send them in a big batch. Rather, they actually need to be printed out and mailed in. Therefore, I'll state the obvious, at a time when you need a specialized staff member to personally handle your paperwork, you are being bombarded with hundreds of thousands of returns, and you need these employees, these IRS employees, to come into the office in person to open everything up and hand file it. Oh, and one more thing, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the IRS doesn't actually allow for any sort of tracking of your paper return. So once it's filed, we've seen people get their money as fast as 4 months. And typically before all the ERC filings, 4 months for an amended 941 was pretty standard, maybe 4 to 6. But now we are seeing people who are waiting 8 months, potentially even up to a year. Now, specifically for your ERC filing, that's because despite the IRS best efforts to, update their software and their online tracking systems, there is no way to truly track them receiving your amended 941, where it is in the process, and then when and if the money has already been sent out and is on its way. But I have to say, still, don't give up on this money. If somebody told me that, hey, I have a business of 10 employees, Rich, and I think I'm entitled up to $26,000 back per W-2 employee, that business owner might be looking at $250,000. So yes, it's terrible to have to wait that long. It shouldn't be like that. But don't give up on getting this money back, or please sharing the information. As always, I'll leave a link down below to one way that you could apply. Of course, you should check out your own CPA and your own payroll company, but if they haven't told you about it yet, again, check out my link down below in the description. So I have a couple of tips, though, that could help you, albeit, again, don't get your hopes too far up, but could help you when you're filing for your ERC to at least give your tax preparer, your processor, the ability to look a little bit deeper to the best of their abilities to see where you are in line. Now, my first tip is to fill out a form 8821 with your tax preparer, with your processor or ERC filer. By doing that, whether they know it or not, you are then designating, giving them permission to go into the back end office with the IRS And again, if they already have this access, they can then see potentially if your letters of notice have gone out, and those letters of notice would then let you know that the checks are on the way. I don't want to get too in the weeds with like tax codes, but there is a notice that you get from the IRS, and nobody likes getting mail from the IRS, but this is a good notice. It should say CP 210 on it, CP 210. And that's a letter that there has been some changes to your business return. And in this case, if you filed for ERC, those changes are hopefully going to state that there is an overpayment. You made an overpayment. And that means right around a couple of weeks from now, you should be getting some money back in your pocket. Now, the other thing I'll say, and I'll make this brief, is yes, you can actually call the IRS and attempt to check on the status of your ERC return. However, I want to dampen your expectations there. There are literally millions of ERC returns being processed. And if you're lucky enough to get an IRS agent on the phone and you can hit all the right prompts and not get disconnected, the getting really good information out of them in terms of where you're at in the ERC process is just so rare. We're talking like 1 out of 100 people that it may not be worth your time. However, I will leave a link to that phone number down below in the description of this video. Okay, some key takeaways on where your ERC checks are. Where is your ERC money? On average, it takes the IRS right around 4, maybe 6 months to process an amended 941. And usually what that means is you paid a little bit too much, you're gonna get some money back, specifically in the case of the Employee Retention Credit ERC. However, with the lack of human people, employees that can open up the paper returns and hand file them, it's kind of like a specialty return, this thing has been backlogged quite a while. Compounding that is your preparer may not have permission from you to go into the IRS, portal if they have access to it and take a look at everything for you. So again, it might be helpful for you to give them that access. And of course, you could do that via that 8821 that we talked about. Oh, and anecdotally, just to share with you too, some more frustrations. For a while, the IRS was holding any checks that were a little bit larger, like above 200,000 per quarter. I have heard that they are beginning to send those out, but of course, that's not going to apply to all business owners. But for those of you that maybe have gotten some money, but not all of it, that could be the case. Likewise, they have also said that they are attempting to file them in the order they're received and in the year in which they need to be processed. So for example, you might receive some checks or money from 2020, and then you're still waiting on the 2021 money. And really at this point, it's just the IRS doing their own thing, not necessarily doing anything wrong, but definitely not doing it in a manner where it's making sense to you and you can expect everything like, 1, 2, 3. All right, if you have questions about the Employee Retention Credit, you can leave me a comment down below. Also, I'm going to put a link to a free questionnaire for those of you who have not yet qualified. If you want to see how much money you can get back, that questionnaire is free to use. Full disclosure, if you decide to file, there is going to be some sort of filing fee. Also, if you made it to the end of this video and you're just like me or you like the Employee Retention Credit, there is an affiliate program that, again, I will leave a link down below in the description. This is where you could tell other business owners in your community about how to get this money back. And if they file, you get a small commission in return. So it really is win-win for everybody. All right, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.